Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. Welcome back to Dark Poutine. I am Mike Brown.
And I am not.
You are not. You are Matthew Stockton.
I am.
Yes, you definitely are.
How are you, Mike?
I am good. I'm concerned about Steve.
Yeah, he's been okay this week. He's been okay. I'm excited for you.
You're excited for me? Why are you excited for me?
That new show you're doing.
Oh, yeah. So by the time people have heard this, the show has been going for about a month and a half.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's new to us today.
It's new to us today, yeah. So I'm doing a new show. It's called Crime Time, and it's on radio stations on the Chorus Network from Toronto all the way to here in Vancouver. So, yeah, have a listen and check out your local
Good for you.
global website, your Chorus website for timing, so you can listen. It's usually on the weekends.
I'm proud of you, my friend.
Thank you. Well, enough about me. Let's get...
Mike, just so everyone out there knows, is terrible at taking compliments.
I am not good at it. I still feel like I'm an imposter doing imposter things.
Do you want to know a secret? We all are.
I know, but...
Every single one of us.
But I admit it. Anyway, let's move on.
Speaking of imposters.
Yeah, this interesting story.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate, Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadian schmucks chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
You are responsible for obtaining and maintaining at your own cost all equipment needed to listen to Dark Poutine. Dark Poutine can be addictive. Side effects may include, but not be limited to, pausing and questioning the system, elevated heart rate, pondering humanity, odd looks from colleagues as you laugh out loud at work, family members not into true crime worrying about you. Positive side effects may include some perspectives and opinions that you disagree with, as well as some wokeness and empathy. If you don't think Dark Poutine is for you, consult your doctor immediately.
In this episode, we delve deeper into the Children of Thunder case, which also is explored in my first best-selling book, Murder, Madness, and Mayhem. An enigmatic narcissist psychopath led the cult, Glenn Taylor Helzer, and the other leadership was comprised of his brother Justin and their follower Dawn Godman. Raised in a strict Mormon home, Taylor's life spiraled after years of mental health trouble. By 2000, the trio had formed a cult under Taylor's delusional leadership. That summer, they murdered Ivan and Annette Stineman, Selina Bishop, daughter of guitarist Elvin Bishop, Selina's mother Jennifer Villarin, and James Gamble. The crime spree and investigation shocked authorities and families, exposing how Taylor twisted faith and loyalty into violence. You're listening to Dark Poutine episode 396, Road Trip, Deadly Prophecy, The Children of Thunder. The story of the Children of Thunder begins in a Mormon home in California. Jerry Helzer, an insurance salesman, and his wife, Karma, hope to raise a happy, faithful family. Their first child, Glenn Taylor Helzer, or Taylor as his family called him, was born July 26, 1970. The Helzer family moved to Pacheco, about 30 miles from San Francisco, settling into a small Contra Costa County town. Taylor's siblings, Justin and Heather, soon joined the growing family. Taylor stood out, even as a child, impressing local church leaders with his ability to memorize scripture. By age 12, he could recite large sections of the Book of Mormon. The relationships between the siblings were complicated. Taylor took special pride in being firstborn, and according to family recollections, he would tell Justin, "I'm number 1 and you're number 2. While Taylor was extroverted and magnetic, Justin was shy and reserved. Their mother, Karma, once described Justin as living in his brother's rather large shadow. Author Robert Scott wrote, "Whereas Taylor seemed to have countless friends in school, both male and female, Justin had almost none. He was painfully shy around girls and tried not to stick out in class." Others around him also felt Taylor's innate charisma. His cousin, Charney Hoffman, remembered, "I absolutely loved him. He was very influential in my life and lots of other people's lives." Taylor was very accepting, regardless of the fact that that's not always the case with people who are very religious. It would later become clear that Taylor's acceptance of others was a narcissistic ruse used to manipulate people into giving him what he wanted. From the time Taylor was a child, Karma surrounded him with a sense of destiny. In their devout Mormon household, she treated his spiritual life as the family's organizing principle, convinced that God had marked him for something extraordinary. So when Taylor began claiming direct conversations with God, it didn't strike her as unusual. It slipped seamlessly into the narrative she had spent years building about who her son was meant to be. Taylor quickly became the center of attention. Karma Helzer, deeply devout, came to believe her son was a prophet. Growing up, the Helzer siblings spent some time living with their grandfather, Doyle Sorensen, whose approach to Mormonism was even stricter than their mother's. Doyle held extremely fundamentalist views. Even some of the most fundamentalist Mormon followers considered his beliefs to be on the fringes of the faith, particularly concerning his own ability to hear the Word of God. As a teen, Taylor's life showed early symptoms of psychological trouble. Crushed by guilt after what he considered a moral failing, he once attempted to die by suicide. At only 14, he was referred to a psychiatrist. Medical evaluations documented signs of psychosis and severe depression. Close friends described Taylor as increasingly unpredictable, fixated on spiritual matters, and receiving messages from higher beings. His grandfather's influence and mother's encouragement, telling Taylor he possessed the gift of revelation, fed his perception that he was chosen for a divine purpose.
Yeah, and it's easy to see Taylor's actions as a result of some latent illness, but I think that lets his parents off just a little bit too easily.
Yeah.
His mother's belief that he was a prophet, that's not love, that's projection.
Sure.
She handed him a crown before he had even learned what it meant to be human, and that crown was made out of fool's gold, wasn't it?
Definitely fool's gold. Yeah.
And every vision he later claimed and every delusion he justified was built on that early confusion between divinity and approval, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine how that would screw you up as a kid. Right?
Yeah, if somebody told me that I was a prophet of God when I was a little kid, I would be an interesting individual today. I was screwed up by the things they told me then, and they were innocuous.
They were innocuous.
Yeah.
You know, and when a parent tells a child they speak for God, the child either is going to break under that weight or decide the world should.
100%. Yeah.
Mike, I've known people who grew up in the LDS church and still do. Good people, friends, 100%, they'd be appalled by this behavior.
Yeah.
You know, having your faith is one thing, but having the hubris to say that your child actually channeled God is a delusion. I just want to call it, you can't paint Mormons to all like this.
No, definitely not. No.
This guy and his mom are weirdos.
Yeah, 100%. Taylor's relationship with religion grew more warped over time. Even during his stint in the National Guard, he stood out. Other guardsmen found Taylor's preaching on the sins of smoking, drinking, and premarital sex unbearable. After that, Taylor set his sights on a standard Mormon rite of passage, missionary work. Sent to Brazil, he poured himself into preaching and the study of Scripture, recording a series of spiritual revelations in journals. But friction followed. Taylor became critical of local worshipers. growing bitter about what he saw as hypocrisy. The experience led him to believe that the established leadership of the LDS Church had lost their way. On returning to California, Taylor rekindled a romance with Anne, a girl he'd known before his mission and who was not Mormon. They were married in 1993. They soon had a daughter. Brother Justin, having served in the National Guard as a military policeman, began spending frequent time at their house. Now, even as adults, the dynamic between the siblings remained unchanged. Taylor led, Justin followed. Taylor rarely held back in asserting his role as the dominant sibling. Despite what appeared to be professional success, Taylor landed a job at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter as a financial advisor. His personal life began to unravel. The birth of his daughter did little to stabilize a growing pattern of erratic behavior. By 1996, Taylor's bright public persona was fading. He traded business attire for rumpled t-shirts and jeans, spent nights drinking, and disappeared from work for days at a time. Quote, he was not returning their phone calls. He did not believe his actions would impact his life or career, and when he was through having fun, he would come back to work and function as a financial advisor and a father, court records describe. Anne, his wife, grew fearful of Taylor's unpredictable moods and increasing substance abuse. By 1997, Taylor was using marijuana, hallucinogens, and heavier drugs. He left his wife, returned to live with his parents, and eventually moved in with Justin, becoming increasingly unstable. After another child was born, Taylor continued to sleep with other women and refused contact with Mormon family and friends who reached out to help.
So let me get this right, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He's down there in Brazil calling worshippers in Brazil hypocrites, but look at him now. This self-proclaimed seeker of truth, drowning in drugs and lies and ego. What he saw as corruption in others was just a reflection that he refused to recognize in himself.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing that I always try to remember. If I can see something in somebody else, that means I have it in me. Every time, every single time.
You know what, my friend Richard told me that, and he said, every time I look at somebody and go, there's something about that guy that I don't like about myself.
Right. Correct. And that's the way I think, too. That is entirely the way I think. Whether I remember that or not in the moment is another matter.
Remembering it is the hard bit, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, exactly. Taylor's religious worldview was shaped by elements of various spiritual movements and self-help philosophies. He denounced Mormon leadership and became deeply influenced by a self-help group called Harmony Impact Training, often referred to as Impact Training, founded by Hans and Sally Berger in 1985. The organization grew out of the self-awareness and large group awareness training movement and operated various offshoots, including Harmony Institute in Utah. Impact Training promoted the belief there is no right and no wrong, only results. For most, this is a call to non-judgmental improvement. For Taylor Helzer, it justified any act, including violence, if it served his ego-centered spiritual goals. Taylor Helzer's tangled path was bolstered by obsessions with occult figures, especially Aleister Crowley. Helzer came across Crowley's writings during research into spiritual movements outside mainstream religion. What stuck with him most was Crowley's notorious and often misinterpreted phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Crowley's teaching, part of the Thelemic belief system, was more about pursuing one's true purpose responsibly, but Taylor Helzer interpreted it as a license for selfishness. In Helzer's hands, "do what thou wilt" became an excuse to cast aside any accepted code of right and wrong. This distortion gave his increasingly wild ideas dangerous weight. According to court documents, Taylor would often reference not only Crowley but cherry-picked ideas from self-help groups, Shakespeare, and other sources as proof that his will was above question. To Taylor, true enlightenment meant breaking free of social rules. All that mattered was achieving his vision, even if that meant murder. He sometimes spoke about Crowley and other occultists as misunderstood prophets, using their reputations to justify his own grand schemes and manipulations. Police and prosecutors later noted this as a key part of his psychological profile. Taylor's blend of mysticism, apocalyptic prophecy, and misappropriated occult slogans was central in luring followers. As follower Dawn Godman later said, If Taylor said it, it was gospel. He told us if we had faith and followed anything, anything was allowed. Taylor faked symptoms of bipolar disorder according to both his own claims and later court testimony to avoid work and qualify for disability checks. When summoned for medical reviews, he made sure to neglect hygiene and prepared himself to act the part of the mentally unwell. In March 1999, after receiving financial benefits for some time, Taylor, challenged to prove his status, manipulated his way into a psychiatric facility to avoid returning to the workforce. So, he's a malingerer as well. I'm not well, so I can't go back to work.
But that's a lot of work to just not do work.
Isn't that funny? It seems like, and I mean, I worked in management at a company where I saw people going to great lengths to avoid work, and it's like, it actually would have been a whole lot easier just to do the job. I don't understand it.
I do that to myself sometimes when I procrastinate.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
All the kvetching and stressing about not having done it versus just doing it.
Have you seen my sink?
This guy, he gamed the system, wasted resources, and called it his strategy. And the same man who claimed to be chosen by God couldn't even carry his own weight.
Right.
So he made the rest of society do that for him. And in my mind, Mike, there's nothing worse than a welfare cheat, like a proper welfare cheat, because he's taking from people who actually need help.
Yeah.
And mental health is so underfunded. When you have people like doing this, it gets my back up so much.
And it gives the detractors for social programs someone to point at and see what they're like.
Yeah.
See what they're like.
Right.
They're all lazy.
He wasn't just faking sickness here. I see this as stealing compassion meant for someone real.
Yeah. Increasingly convinced of his prophetic role, Taylor described in his journals and to others his belief that he was chosen to reshape the world spiritually and violently. The foundation of his new faith was explicit. Good and evil were flawed and primitive ideas created by man, not God. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Taylor often quoted from Hamlet to fit his own twisted worldview and justify his crappy behavior.
I've been reading a bit of Nietzsche this week, as you do.
Yep.
I'm on a bit of a searching journey on a few things right now. So when I do that, I pick up philosophers. And Nietzsche argued that good and evil are human inventions, like this guy's tools that societies use to control behavior. He wrote his book, Beyond Good and Evil, where he complained that we have to go beyond moral binaries to create our own values.
Oh, that word binaries really freaks people out right now. Oh, boy.
It's so ridiculous. People are so stupid. So Helzer likely absorbed this idea superficially and used it as sort of license rather than liberation. Because what Nietzsche was talking about with Beyond Good and Evil wasn't permission to kill and exploit. He actually meant it as a challenge that you replace inherited morality with something self-forged.
Right.
About strength and honesty and creativity.
Yeah.
Right? And he called it the Übermensch. And Übermensch doesn't fake illness or hide behind spirit. He stands accountable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This guy Nietzsche would have called this guy an Uber loser.
Uber loser? Yeah. Oh, well.
An Uber mess.
An Uber mess. An Uber goof.
An Uber goof.
Taylor continued to attend occasional LDS church events, not to practice Mormonism, but to find new followers and as a way to keep tabs on the old leadership he despised. Ironically, it was at a murder mystery dinner hosted by a Mormon congregation in Walnut Creek that Taylor and Justin met a 26-year-old woman named Dawn Godman. Dawn became Taylor's third follower after Justin. Taylor began to lecture the two constantly, blending drug-fueled rants with rambling interpretations of scripture and self-help doctrines. Dawn Godman was so smitten that she gave up her 5-year-old child to move in with Taylor Helzer. Dawn soon accepted Taylor's vision and believed that he was a prophet of God. In her later testimony, Dawn admitted, "I believed that Taylor and Jesus Christ were brothers and that Taylor was a prophet of God." Oh, Dawn. Oh, dear.
Ooh. You're made of spare parts, aren't you, Don?
Yeah.
Not just stupid, but 10-ply stupid.
Well, talk about your cheese has slipped off your cracker. She can't even find her cracker, and the cheese is out looking for it. I'm pretty sure.
It's just so sad that people like this who are so ridiculous can do so much harm to others.
Yep. It's happening all over. Taylor's new ideology gave him and his followers broad justification for crime. According to summaries from court documents and his own teachings, Taylor convinced his followers that any activity undertaken in the name of the cause, extortion, blackmail, drug sales, prostitution, and even murder were righteous. It was during this period that the group adopted the name Children of Thunder, a reference Taylor found in Scripture as Jesus once called his disciples the Sons of Thunder. Taylor's plans became ever more grandiose and unhinged. He wanted to found a self-help movement called Transform America or Impact America to defeat Satan and the hypocrisy of the LDS Church. In his most disturbed schemes, Taylor openly discussed assassinating the Mormon Church's top leaders by adopting and training Brazilian orphans as child soldiers. Taylor realized his dreams would require money. The cult attempted small-scale money-making schemes, selling drugs, using women to target wealthy businessmen for blackmail, but it was never enough, and Taylor was always impatient. Eventually, Spirit, the voice Taylor described as his divine guide, gave him a stronger plan. Taylor turned to his history as a stockbroker, recalling former clients who trusted him with their life savings.
They should have just done a bake sale.
Yeah. Or bingo.
Like, bodies and duffel bags don't need to happen when you do a bake sale or bingo.
Yeah, exactly. Taylor circled several former clients on a list of potential sources for their funding. In late July 2000, Spirit told Taylor the time was right. He told Dawn of the divine plan and that he needed her help to carry out God's wishes. Taylor asked Dawn if she was willing to kill this person for the greater good. By this time, Dawn, who was utterly enthralled with the elder Helzer brother, told him that she was honored to be considered for the task and agreed to participate without reservation. Dawn later recounted in a police statement, "Taylor told me that God needed us to prove our faith." Taylor then set to work establishing a useful front for financial crimes. He met a beautiful young woman named Selina Bishop at a rave in spring 2000. Taylor introduced himself as Jordan and quickly charmed her. Selina was the daughter of blues guitarist Elvin Bishop. She didn't know Taylor's true aims. She thought her new boyfriend was soon to inherit a windfall and was helping him open bank accounts to hide the money from his ex-wife. Matt King, manager of the Bison Brewing Company where Selina and Taylor sometimes spent time, recounted the odd dynamic between the two. During their last conversation, Selina told King she wasn't even sure why she was going out with Jordan. Matt would not hear from Selina again and was shocked to learn of her death. Taylor was careful to keep Selina isolated from friends and family. When Selina's mother, Jennifer Villarin, tried to meet Jordan at her daughter's apartment, Taylor found a way to avoid her. He wanted Selina for one thing, the bank accounts he had convinced her to open for him. Taylor wanted to use those accounts to launder the money he was going to extort from his victims and then do away with Selina too. She was disposable. Unknown to Selina, the group decided to target Ivan and Annette Stineman, a wealthy retired couple who had been Taylor's clients. Taylor and Justin, dressed in their best clothes, visited the Stinemans under the guise of a friendly visit. Once inside, they overpowered the elderly couple at gunpoint, handcuffed them, and transported them to the cult's Concord residence. There, the real crime would unfold. The Helzers, with Dawn's help, coerced Annette into calling her former brokerage to liquidate her portfolio. They then forced both Stinemans to write out checks totaling $100,000 to Selina Bishop, the inheritance Taylor had primed her to help launder. While the Stinemans waited in terror, Taylor drugged them with Rohypnol, but when the sedative failed to kill, Justin beat Ivan to death, and Taylor cut Annette's throat. Taylor ordered Justin to dismember the bodies. Justin used power tools in an attempt to destroy dental records, then mixed the remains before dumping the bodies in weighted sports bags. Dawn, disguised in a gold cowboy hat and a lime green pantsuit, sat in a wheelchair and took the checks to the bank, successfully depositing the funds into the accounts opened by Selina. She told the teller she was doing a favor for the Bishop family as Selina was having emergency surgery. It worked, investigators later summarized. As Taylor Helzer's plan shifted from wild talk to unspeakable action, the Children of Thunder crossed a line that would change countless lives forever. They were no longer just followers of a misguided vision. They were now perpetrators of real, irreversible harm. We'll be back after this break with more of Dark Poutine, episode 396, Road Trip, Deadly Prophecy, The Children of Thunder. In the next part, we follow the chilling details as investigators close in and the truth behind the murders comes to light. And we are back at the halfway point, Matthew. What are your thoughts about this twit?
It's really easy to laugh at the absurd part, right?
Yeah.
The cowboy hats, the fake revelations, the half-baked plans to transform America.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, that laughter fades really quickly because
there's humans who were killed.
And what sits underneath this story isn't comedy, it's hunger. This guy wanted to be special so badly that he built a religion around it. And the people that followed him were starving for the same thing, meaning and direction and certainty. And those are sad people, you know, and that's the part that always gets me. These cults don't start with monsters. They start with people who can't stand feeling ordinary. And our system so often rewards the loudest voice in the room. Right, the one who promises purpose, not the one who actually quietly doubts. Right, those are the people you should listen to, the quiet doubters. And when that kind of charisma meets unaddressed pain, it doesn't take long before faith sort of curdles into this blind obedience that turns to violence. And the Children of Thunder really, you know, they weren't about God at all. They were about control dressed up as revelation.
They're about themselves, is what
right?
it is.
Ego in priest robes. And that's why stories like this never age out. Every generation has its own Helzer, someone ready to sell transcendence to anyone who's lost enough or unintelligent or uneducated enough to buy it.
It's really interesting to, get into cults and that kind of thing because everybody says, well, I would never fall for it. And a lot of people who say they wouldn't fall for it are people who are falling for it. It's really fascinating to watch.
You and I have touched on this before. I can say, Mike, without a doubt, I would never fall for it.
Okay, Matthew.
and I think you probably wouldn't either.
I don't know. I think because I try to question myself, maybe that's why. Because I question the decisions I make and the people who I associate with now, especially after being burned a few times.
Okay. Well, Mike, give me some money. I offer you salvation.
How about no?
See? You wouldn't fall for it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not charismatic enough.
Go salvation somebody else. Selina Bishop, who had unknowingly been used as a pawn, was now seen as a liability. Taylor invited her to his home, offered her a massage, and with chilling calm, bludgeoned her to death with a hammer in his bedroom. According to Godman's confession and later prosecution evidence, Taylor then called Dawn Godman in, remarking, "Spirit says you get to know this isn't a dream," as he set about dismembering Selina as well. The remains were divided and mixed with those of the Stinemans to obstruct later identification. After murdering and dismembering all the victims, their remains were then stuffed into duffel bags purchased explicitly for this purpose. During the disposal, Taylor paused to meditate and commune with Spirit, asking his guiding voice for what to do next. The trio loaded the bags into the Stinemans' own van, which they later abandoned. Justin and Dawn's fingerprints would later be found inside, along with receipts for shackles and a handheld saw, crucial evidence in linking them to the scene.
Let me get this straight. He stopped to commune with Spirit when he should have been cleaning up the mess he made.
Yeah.
That's some prophet. So he prayed over duffel bags, but left fingerprints, receipts, and DNA.
Yeah.
He talked, for all this talk of divine guidance, he couldn't even manage basic crime scene competence.
I'm so grateful that these narcissists are so stupid. You know, like they think that they've got it all sewn up. And that's their downfall. Their actual ego is their downfall every single time.
Every single time.
Even after the bodies had been disposed of, Taylor Helzer grew increasingly paranoid about being identified. Despite all Taylor's efforts to avoid her, Selina's mother, Jennifer Villarin, had seen Taylor in person at one point. He knew that Villarin and her partner, James Gamble, also posed a risk as potential witnesses, as they could now tie him to the missing woman's whereabouts. Driven by the need to eliminate every possible loose end, Taylor and Justin Helzer planned one more killing. On the night of August 3, 2000, Taylor and Justin traveled to Woodacre, a small, quiet town in Marin County, where Selina lived. They knew exactly where to find Villarin and Gamble, asleep inside Selina's apartment. Taylor approached the bedroom first, his movements cold and methodical. With Justin by his side, Taylor used the same gun that he had recently purchased for earlier crimes. He fired 2 shots into Jennifer Villarin's face at close range, killing her instantly. James Gamble, startled awake, barely stood a chance. He too was executed. 1 shot to the chest ended his life violently and abruptly. The gunshot shattered the usual peace of the otherwise sleepy neighborhood. Several neighbors, jolted out of bed by the sharp cracks, rushed to their windows. Some peered into the foyer just long enough to spot shadows fleeing into the darkness, while others wasted no time in calling the police. It was fast, then gone. I looked out and saw nothing, but I just knew something terrible had happened, recalled a neighbor to local authorities at the scene. By the time the first deputies arrived, the Helzer brothers had already vanished. Inside the apartment, first responders encountered a gruesome sight. Jennifer Villarin and James Gamble, both dead from gunshot wounds and signs of sudden chaotic violence. But notably, Selina Bishop was missing. Investigators quickly realized her disappearance could not be separated from the murders. News quickly spread that one of the victims was the mother of Selina Bishop, who herself was the daughter of a famous musician. Media interest exploded. Front-page headlines painted a grim picture of the case. Missing persons, double homicide, and links to a respected Bay Area recording artist. In those frantic first days, police and the public feared the worst, and the trail of violence left by Taylor Helzer and his cult became a major regional story.
It's really impossible not to feel for Elvin Bishop. You know, he lost his daughter and ex-wife, somebody he at once loved. Maybe
Totally.
he still did, right?
Yeah.
He lost them to people who mistook delusion for destiny. And no father or human being should ever have to live with that kind of cruelty, pretending to be purpose. It's even worse than just a murder in some ways, right?
100%,
I mean, I can't really say that, but just this idea that people did it for this ridiculous reason.
Mm-hmm. The Concord police, investigating the disappearance of the Stinemans, and the Marin County Sheriff, responding to the murders of Villarin and Gamble, coordinated efforts. Investigators suspected a link between the cases when Selina Bishop's name appeared repeatedly in both inquiries. Detective Fred Marziano would later reflect on the confusion of those first hours. For the first few hours, it was kind of what the heck possibly happened here. Days later, the plan to hide the victim's remains unraveled. A man riding a jet ski on the Mokelumne River spotted a blood-tinged duffel bag floating in the water. "You could see blood mixed with the water. We knew right away this was trouble," said Marina manager Rachel Linden. That discovery led to the recovery of 9 duffel bags containing dismembered body parts, some belonging to a young female and others to an older female. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office quickly realized this was far more than a missing persons case. This is an area that lends itself to the disposing of evidence of bodies. It's remote, it's dark, and if you want to dump something here, you're not likely to get caught, Sergeant Dennis Arnold told the press. Days later, the plan to hide the victim's remains unraveled. A man riding a jet ski on the Mokelumne River spotted a blood-tinged duffel bag floating in the water. "You could see blood mixed with the water. We knew right away this was trouble," said Marina manager Rachel Linden. That discovery led to the recovery of 9 duffel bags containing dismembered body parts, some belonging to a young female and others to an older female. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office quickly realized this was far more than a missing persons case. This is an area that lends itself to the disposing of evidence of bodies. It's remote, it's dark, and if you want to dump something here, you're not likely to get caught, Sergeant Dennis Arnold told the press. Over the course of several tense days, law enforcement recovered multiple duffel bags from the winding channels of the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta. Each bag, waterlogged and heavy, contained a gruesome mix of dismembered human remains. The challenge for investigators was immediate and daunting. The killers had deliberately mingled the body parts of all three victims, Ivan, Annette Stineman, and Selina Bishop, making identification extremely complicated. Forensic teams worked around the clock, laying out each piece as they arrived. The process demanded meticulous attention. Technicians compared bone structure, analyzed distinguishing features, and relied heavily on dental records in an effort to match jaws and teeth to missing persons files submitted by families. Detectives described the work as both physically and emotionally exhausting, with officers and coroners spending long hours piecing together partial remains, often under the stress of knowing that anxious families were waiting for answers.
Yeah, and killers always think they're clever when they try to make identification difficult. They cut, they burn, they bury their hide, convinced that erasing a name erases a crime. But what they never understand is what comes next, right? People move mountains to bring those names back, right?
Right.
They move mountains for it.
We saw it in the Herb Baumeister case. I mean, still today, years and years later, after the crimes, they're still trying to name those men who were found on Fox Hollow Farm.
Absolutely, right? Investigators, forensic teams, families, work themselves raw because they care more than the killers ever did. And every fragment becomes a promise. Someone will be known again, no matter what was done to them. And that's what killers don't understand, that the rest of society actually cares.
Right. Ultimately, DNA analysis provided another layer of certainty. Laboratory specialists extracted genetic material from the remains, cross-referencing it with known samples from the victims' relatives. After days of painstaking complex investigation, forensic scientists confirmed the identities of each victim. This grim but necessary work allowed investigators to give some closure to the devastated families, even as the full scale of the crime became clearer to the public. The Stinemans' sudden disappearance and now murder made little sense until investigators learned they had withdrawn $100,000 from their bank at the insistence of someone posing as a financial advisor. It was easily proven that their current advisor at the firm they dealt with knew nothing of the transaction, but another person had handled the account before him, Taylor Helzer. But how was Taylor Helzer connected to Selina Bishop, if at all? Due to the co-mingling of the remains of all three victims, the crimes were undoubtedly connected. Friends of Selina Bishop, still reeling from her disappearance, assisted police, telling them of the man she had been dating, whom they knew as Jordan. They identified Taylor Helzer as Jordan during a photo lineup, marking another step in building the case against him. Then, in a stroke of investigative persistence, detectives traced one of the duffel bag's UPC codes back to a Walmart. Surveillance footage showed the buyers, Justin Helzer, and a woman later identified as Dawn Godman. From there, the case accelerated. When police served search warrants at the Helzer brothers' Concord townhouse, they found a disturbing array of evidence: duct tape, blood traces, forged documents, and handwritten notes outlining Taylor's bizarre principles and plans. Among them were items belonging to both the Stinemans and Selina Bishop. Investigators examining the abandoned Stineman van made a crucial discovery. Fingerprints belonging to both Justin Helzer and Dawn Godman were found on surfaces inside, placing them squarely at the scene of the abductions and implicating them in the transportation of the Stinemans. This alone was damaging, but more evidence was waiting. Among the debris in the same van, detectives recovered receipts for the handheld power saw used in the dismemberment of the Stinemans and Selina Bishop. The trail of these items, purchased so recently and tied to both victims and suspects, helped bind together the stages of the crime. While canvassing the crime scenes, local witnesses proved invaluable. Taylor's distinctive Saturn sedan and Justin's white Nissan pickup were both reported in the vicinity around the times of the killings, one near Jennifer Villarin's apartment and the other close to the Stineman residence on July 30th, 2000. During a search of the Stineman home, an undated note referencing Taylor Helzer provided added context. According to the family, Mr. Stineman himself had written about Taylor, documenting interactions that, unwittingly, pointed detectives to their prime suspect. Lastly, Selina Bishop's pager, an overlooked detail in many cases at the time, handed police a direct link to Taylor. The most frequently dialed number on her device traced straight back to the Helzer home's landline. This digital breadcrumb, supported by witness statements and physical finds, pulled together the strands of evidence into a comprehensive case, leaving little doubt about the involvement of all three cult members in every stage of their lethal plan. As the discoveries mounted, police began zeroing in on the trio in the days following the Grizzly River find. Taylor attempted to flee when police approached the Concord house he shared with Justin and Dawn. He forced a neighbor to hand over clothes and a knife before ultimately being caught after a brief chase on August 7, 2000. Justin and Dawn were arrested at the house without incident. Dawn Godman accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, with an additional 12 years and 8 months for related offenses. Her testimony would be crucial in the prosecution of the Helzer brothers, shining a bright light on the cult's twisted inner workings. Deborah McClanahan, a former friend who provided an alibi for the trio until she learned the truth, described why she first protected them. "I lied out of loyalty, fear, love, disbelief, denial," she eventually told the Contra Costa Times. Her reversal and her guidance to police about the trio's hidden safe containing the gun and Stineman's belongings was another nail in the case against them. Prosecutors charged the trio with 18 felonies, including murder, extortion, kidnapping, and fraud. The prosecution meticulously reconstructed the timeline for the jury, showing a level of planning, cruelty, and deception that left many jurors and court observers shaken. It took more than 4 years for the Children of Thunder legal proceedings to come to a conclusion. Each suspect faced separate trials. Taylor pleaded guilty to all charges with the hope of sparing himself the death penalty. He testified about his belief in spirit, calling his crimes holy mandates. In sentencing, the judge was unpersuaded by Taylor's religious justifications. Taylor was given the death sentence and sent to San Quentin's death row, where, as of 2025, he remains. Justin, who claimed not guilty by reason of insanity, was also convicted on 5 counts of murder and sentenced to death. Justin's attorneys described his deep, lifelong dependence on Taylor as well as his own struggles with mental illness, but the jury found he was sane at the time of the murders. Behind bars, Justin Helzer repeatedly attempted to die by suicide. On April 14, 2013, Justin completed suicide when he hanged himself in his San Quentin cell. Dawn Godman, for her role as participant and witness, was sentenced in accordance with her plea agreement. She remains in prison, having expressed remorse in public statements and testified regarding Taylor's total domination of his followers.
Even at this point, she's blaming others for what she did. This idea of, I was totally dominated. That's crap. She's not taking responsibility for her own actions. She's not a victim. She's playing a victim. The people she helped murder, dismember, and throw away like trash, those are the victims. I have no sympathy for this woman at all.
No, me neither. As the case was finalized, the California Supreme Court made its findings public. Taylor claimed to be a prophet, believed murder was justified by divine order, and aimed to use extorted funds to accelerate prophecy. The murders sent shockwaves through California, particularly because of the victims' connections and the senselessness of the extortion plot. The families of Ivan and Annette Stineman, Selina Bishop, Jennifer Villarin, and James Gamble gave emotional victim impact statements in court, with Elvin Bishop describing the agony of losing his daughter and former clients, expressing disbelief that Taylor could betray such deep trust. Attention from national media outlets ensured the cult's crimes, and the investigative failures that briefly let them operate became a cautionary tale. Detectives involved in the case described it as one of the most disturbing and tragic crimes in recent California history, one in which the perpetrators were both completely out of touch with reality. In custody, Taylor Helzer has filed numerous appeals, all of which have been denied as of July 2024. In their decision, the California Supreme Court summarized, Helzer told others that killing is sanctioned if it is God's will. Dawn Godman remains incarcerated. Taylor Helzer is among hundreds on death row at San Quentin. His execution is unlikely ever to occur due to ongoing moratoriums in the state. What remains for many is the horror and senseless loss. The devastation left by Taylor Helzer and his followers shows just how dangerous narcissistic cult leaders can be. Their crimes serve as a stark warning about the harm that arises when self-obsessed figures demand loyalty at any cost, twist reality, and use power over others to pursue their most destructive impulses. And that's it for Dark Poutine episode 396, Road Trip, Deadly Prophecy, The Children of Thunder.
That's right, it's time for voicemails. You can leave us a message at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see who called us this week.
Alrighty, here's our first voicemail.
Hi, Mike and Matthew. I am from D. Milton, a tiny suburb of Dallas, Texas called Rowlett. And I absolutely love your show. I heard about you through My Favorite Murder years ago and been listening ever since. And I just got my first passport at 48 years old for the sole purpose of coming to Canada one day. And you guys are a big part of that decision. I hope you guys have the best day every day because you make my weeks go by so fast. Have a very great day. And please go take a shit in your hat. Bye.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. So there we go. We got one, Matthew. We got an American coming up to visit.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I think that the Canadian, what do you call it? The tourism board should pay us.
Yeah.
What town did she say she's from? Rowlett?
Roulette. It might be roulette, or I don't know. I don't really know.
I just looked at a map. So
yeah.
I've been to Dallas, right?
Me too. Yep.
And I had no idea. I'm looking at a map right now that Fort Worth is just kind of a big part of. It's like suburban Dallas in a way.
Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth.
I had. Oh yeah. Is that why they call it the Dallas Fort Worth Airport?
Yes, Matthew.
Well, that would make sense then, wouldn't it?
Right. Oh boy, what does our friend do down there, Matthew?
My name's Matthew.
My name's Matthew.
I think that she is an aeroplane pilot.
There you go. Plenty of those.
Yep.
What kind of planes does she fly? Does she fly passenger jets, commercial, what?
No, the big passenger jets.
Good. Yeah,
that's
someone's got to do it.
That's what she's coming up to Canada. She's just gonna
get her passport to finally come to Canada and fly a plane here.
Absolutely.
There you go. Well, thank you for your voicemail.
Thank you.
And we have a couple more voicemails for our Halloween episode, so let's have a listen to some more people calling us out for being so great. I don't mind.
Good morning, Michael and Matthew. This is Dana. I am calling from Michigan. I'm on my morning walk, Dimondale, Michigan. And I just wanted you folks to know that part of the reason I do what I do is because of your podcast.
Oh.
I am a advocate for neglected and abused children, and often find myself thinking that maybe what I do will
Dimondale,
help the future of these
Dimondale.
kids that have had such a bleak start for life. That's pretty much it. It's so important to look at the kids and how they grow up and their circumstances. And I think you guys are very sensitive about that. Anywho, this comes to you from Dimondale, Michigan, with Minnie the cat, Ruby the cat, and Dana. Go take a shit in your hat. And thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you so much. Dimondale, Dimondale. Yeah.
So I'm picturing her walking through Danford Island Park while she's leaving that message.
Okay.
There in Dimondale. It's on the Grand River. And my grandmother grew up not far from there.
There you go.
Yeah,
a family connection.
My grandmother was actually born in Detroit, but most of my family was from a place called Cadillac, Michigan.
Of course, there's a place called Cadillac, Michigan. Why wouldn't there be?
Absolutely, there is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give her a job because that is an incredibly worthy
She's got
job
an incredible
that she has
job
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Frankenmuth, Mike?
I've never been to Michigan, no.
Oh, my family used to love it.
Well, I've driven through it, but...
It's this little fake German town in Michigan, but like with Bavarian like inns and stuff like that. And I don't know why, but my family loved going to Frankenmuth.
Really?
Yeah, we did. We'd go like once a year to Frankenmuth and meet all the American cousins and aunts and uncles. We'd all meet up in Frankenmuth. It's just outside of Saginaw.
Yeah. Well, there's a little Bavarian town in Washington State as well. You can go visit.
But it ain't no
Leavenworth. Leavenworth, it's called.
Frankenmuth. When I was a kid, I loved it, and I'd like to go back sometime as an adult and just see what it's like. I want somebody to call in from Frankenmuth.
Frankenmuth? Okay.
Yeah.
And here is another voicemail. Let's have a listen.
Hello, Mike and Matt. My name is Leah, and I am from Mississauga, Ontario. Longtime listener, first-time caller. I started listening to the podcast from the very, very beginning, a little over a year ago, when I was at work. And I kind of would just throw it on, and it would get me through my workday. I'm going to tell you what I do at the end of this, maybe. Or maybe I'll send it in an email. That way, Matthew can give me a job title, and I'm not going to rat myself out. But anyway, I would listen to your podcast. Initially, I was listening to the Canadian True Crime podcast with Christy Lee. I got to the end of her series, and I was looking for a new one, and this was just perfect. And it's just been such a great experience to witness the evolution of this project, Mike, from the beginning until now, and all the kind of things that you've worked through and gone through, and changes and ups and downs, and it's been truly a really nice experience to kind of see this to the end now. So now I'm caught up, which is kind of crazy. So a little over a year, I got caught up on all episodes. I have a lot of actual personal connections to some of the cases that you're talking about, and being from Mississauga, and that my father was a police officer with the Toronto Police. So there's a lot of information that when you're putting it all together, it's like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Or, there's a couple of people who I did know. I'm not going into details about who I knew, but there's a couple of cases that are particularly personal. Which is kind of wild when it's out there. Other people are talking about it. You're doing a fantastic job, like everyone else says, paying more attention to the victims and really honoring their story rather than focusing on the perpetrators. Keep doing what you're doing. Can't wait for the next episode. Until next time. Take a shit in your hat. Bye.
And thank you, Leah. Yes. Leah from Mississauga, Matthew. I know what she does because she did send us an email, but I'm not going to tell you. You're going to guess.
I know what she actually does.
What's that?
So Mississauga and Oakville have been at it for hundreds of years.
Okay.
And so she patrols the border between the two towns.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they get full-on battles going on between Mississauga and Oakville.
Like rivalries, yeah.
Yeah, so she's border control between Mississauga and Oakville. And the Oakvillians get really angry because they try to get to Toronto, so they have to go all the way up and around through Brampton in order to get to Toronto because they're not allowed to go through Mississauga.
Well, there you go. That is not even close to what her real job is, and we don't need to out her for her real job, but it's not that. Wow.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well,
That's what she
yes,
wrote. I
yes.
saw the email as well.
Yeah, she emailed me and lied. She emailed me a big old lie.
She
Yeah.
did, because everyone's angry about Mississauga.
Of course they are. Why? Why wouldn't you be angry about Mississauga? Didn't you call it Misery Saga on one of our shows?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, I like I've been to
It's
Mississauga.
fine.
It's not that bad at all.
It's part of Toronto, right? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Toronto is a great city. I don't know why people poo-poo Toronto. I can't think of a city in Canada that I dislike. I really can't.
I can.
But don't say it.
No. We'll have people calling in.
It's true. It's definitely true. But no, honestly, I've always met really fine folks every time I've traveled. So that's it for this week's voicemails. Again, you can leave us one at 1-877-327-5786 or 1-877-DARK-PTN. We'd love to hear from you, even if it is just to say hi and to tell us to go shit in our hats. If you're stumped for what to chat with us about, a quick story is welcome. All right, we are on to Patreon and Donut Money donors. We do have a patron this week, and that person is Deborah Wales, and Deborah is from Asheville, North Carolina.
Yay.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. What on earth does Deborah do in Asheville, Asheville? Yes, Asheville. Sorry, my spelling just went bloop out of my head.
You're so funny.
No.
She works at a crematorium.
Because Asheville. Oh, no. Oh, no, Matthew. No,
Have you ever?
no.
I don't think North Carolina, I've never been to.
I have friends who live in North Carolina, but I have never been.
I've been to, it's so weird. I've been to New York and Washington, right, and then kind of skipped Virginia, South Carolina. Then I've been to Florida, but I haven't. And Georgia, I've missed sort of some of those bits so far.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your patronage, Deborah. We really, really appreciate you. And thank you. We have a Donut Money donor as well, Matthew. This week, we have Patricia, or Patty Bertrand, from Wreck Cove, as in shipwreck, on the Cabot Trail, Cape Breton Island. Love you guys. Well, thank you so much, Patty Bertrand.
Oh, thanks, Patty.
What does Patty do there on the Cabot Trail near? She lives in Wreck Cove. Yeah,
that's a cool name for a place. Is
Wreck
there
Cove.
Is there a shipwreck there?
I'm sure there probably is. That's why it would be named that. That's typically how places get their names like that. So
I think she's a diver. She goes down looking for gold in the old
for
shipwrecks.
treasure, salvage diver. Yeah. That would be a good job. Cold waters off Cape Breton, though, Matthew. Very cold waters. You need to be very a steely individual to want to have to dive down there.
Now, the Cabot Trail there, there's like a highway named after it, but it's also like a walking trail, isn't it?
Well,
is there like a hiking trail called?
Well,
the
of course,
Trail?
there's hiking trails around there. Absolutely,
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But it's not like the Bruce Trail in Ontario.
No, it is not like the Bruce Trail.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do have somebody who sent us some money for Interac, which is kind of nice. Our friend Adela Reed. We see Adela in the Umbergard lots.
Yay, Adela.
Adela says, a drop in the bucket for donuts or whatever. Your work is appreciated. Cheers. Smiley face. Much appreciated, Adela. Well, I don't know where Adela's from, Matthew. We need to figure out where she's from and what she does there. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, so I think she's from Utah.
Utah, okay.
Yeah, and she works in this. She runs a salt company.
A salt company in Utah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know there were salt companies in Utah. I guess there's mining. Salt mining would probably make sense around Utah.
I assume there is, because there's a place called Salt Lake City there.
Right, exactly.
And in my mind, there's like lots of salt deposits in Utah. I don't know if that is true or not.
Okay.
And I'm just realizing in my head that I've always thought that, only because of the name of that city, and I have no idea if it's true.
Well, there you go. It could be baloney. Thanks to all our patrons and Donut Money donors, past and present, for your generosity. It helps to keep the show going. You can become a patron of Dark Poutine at patreon.com/darkpoutine. For a one-time donation, you can send us donut money via PayPal or interact using our email address, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. If you don't already subscribe to the show, it would mean a lot if you did. You can easily find Dark Poutine on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you haven't gotten yours yet, my 2 books are available to order via links on the Dark Poutine website or anywhere fine books are sold. And speaking of darkpoutine.com, check it out for show notes and other cool stuff. We'd appreciate it if you gave Dark Poutine a like or a follow on Facebook and Instagram. Most importantly, thank you for listening. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. And that is it for this episode of Dark Poutine. So until next time, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.